Is this our first look at the new Supreme? Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about this leaked listing that a dealer had up on their website, as well as on Reverb. It's how the general public first learned about these new Supremes, and the fact that they're likely going to be offered around 4,000 USD. So I've already shared that much with you. However, after looking at this longer, the fact that we still have the enlarged output jack plate makes me think this is an old stock photo, and not what we're actually going to see, because the Gibson CEO just shared some stuff on his Instagram. It was this photo with the caption, "What a Supreme top." So it looks like we might have a wine red finish within the offerings, and the maple cap has some nice flame/quilting in this one, and then it is only the top being bound here. The back appears to have been left alone. And then we got the Super 400 inlays over here. So everything we read in the last release seems to be true. But this is not the most exciting photo, because last time we talked about the headstock was going to change. And 3 days prior to this red photo, Cesar posted this, and captioned it "A Supreme Friday to be at our craftery." Now, in my opinion, this is the photo that's a little bit more thought-provoking. This just showed us pretty much what we were expecting, but this just adds more questions. So first off, we'll go to the headstock. That might be the new Supreme thing. So instead of the cool globe or any of the other variations that they had over the years, they have this new diamond pyramid structure. It's interesting. Now this one has a little bit of a red line. I think that's just part of the manufacturing process. It won't actually have that. And apparently that was supposed to have came out of the Gibson vault as an old design that was unused. I'm sure we'll learn more about it when this thing comes out. But we've got the multiply binding along the headstock. It's really starting to look like a Les Paul Custom, but built in Gibson USA, which is kind of what Supremes were past that 2005 point, when the Les Paul Custom was formally moved into the custom shop only, outside of the classic customs, etc. But this photo also shows us the Super 400 inlays, but when you get down here, 3 pickups. It's routed for 3 humbuckers, and it's a plain top. Now there have been 3 pickup Supremes before, but that was always the exception, never the rule. But as far as a plain top Supreme, we have not had that. So this makes me think, is he trying to throw us off the trail here, calling it a Supreme, and then we're all thinking, oh yeah, that's what it's gonna be, and then bam, they're gonna hit us with a completely different headstock? This almost looks like it could be a signature guitar for someone, a variation on our new Supreme. Because if they're plain tops, it's probably going to be a straight ebony finish or maybe a gold top. So maybe those ones, since they don't have to use the flame figured woods, they can add the extra pickups just to have some more variation in here. Or is this a new Ace Frehley signature? Are they going to put their new Double Cream 57 Classics in it and give it a cherry sunburst? It looks like this one will still have the swooped heel. You can just barely see it right there. But that means there could potentially be 2 different new models coming out soon. And after some talk online, it seems like September might be when we start to see the new models. However, I have nothing official to share, just online speculation. And everything I just said was all well and good, but if you actually look right here, it does look like it says LPSU, so likely Les Paul Supreme. But that doesn't rule out that maybe Mark Morton. I know we've been waiting on his signature Les Paul, and he's been teasing a few stuff. Maybe this will be it. Because I swear we saw somebody playing something with a weird headstock that looked very similar to this in the past. I just can't remember. But when it comes to these Gibson factory photos, you gotta keep a keen eye, because sometimes they like to hide other stuff. But I mean, this looks like a regular Explorer over here. Looks like maybe a 335-ish guitar. We've got regular Les Pauls here, factory worker over there, more Les Pauls in the back. I'm not quite seeing any other Easter eggs at this point in time, outside of this new semi-mystery 3 pickup guitar that's coming out of Gibson USA. So we've had the November burst, the Appetite burst, the Victoria Goldtop, Vermilion burst, and Anaconda burst for a while. And what those all had in common, outside of the Goldtop, is they had flame tops. However, Slash on his Instagram posted a new prototype Jessica standard. It was one of his earlier ones, first done up around 2008. So that's been quite a long time. I guess it makes sense to add a new color to the collection and make those readily available again. However, his original I believe is 1987, and those would have 3-piece tops. And I think I'm seeing a seam line right here, and then maybe another one over there. I could be wrong, that could just be the light. But having a 3-piece top standard would be kind of funny again, but it is accurate to his guitar. And usually Gibson USA doesn't get things as nitty gritty. It's always the custom shop that they make you pay the extra money to have it be exactly as his. So it'd bring up the interesting question, since this one's a plain top and potentially 3 pieces, will it be cheaper? Because it's kind of hard to tell from this photo. It might even be a standard faded rather than a full-on gloss finish. So they could offer a Slash Les Paul at a slightly lesser price. However, it could also just be gloss. And when the Goldtop was introduced, it was the exact same price as the flame tops. So I wouldn't get your hope up too much, but it seems like we could get Jessica maybe next year. And if there's a Gibson USA release, maybe a new custom shop. But I'm not so sure about a re-release of that. Slash has been seen lately using a Les Paul Custom with a rosewood fretboard that's all blacked out like this. I honestly think that is going to be the next custom shop signature. Next up, I also have an update to the common reverb scams that are running. All the same stuff as in our last video still applies, but here's a new one that they've been doing. They're putting it in the title, read description to buy it now. And then when you click on it, it says, for cash on delivery, order from our music store directly and enjoy 10% off. They're making you think, hey, I don't have to pay until it's delivered. That's great. And I'm gonna save 10% off for paying cash? That's fantastic. And if you actually visit their website, honestly, it looks pretty legitimate. Except for the fact that they just have way too many listings. Here's what should give you a red flag. All the backgrounds are different. Music stores are going to have a semi-what uniform look to them. And I suppose your next thing would be the prices are just way too good. Like a Tri-Burst, that's at least a $3,000 to $3,500. That's a very good deal even at that. So $2,500 is a bit suspicious. Unbound 52 Goldtop, like these are pre-COVID prices that they're going for. That's easily at least a $5,000 guitar. None of these prices are believable. And I know it's easy to say, yeah, Trogly, of course, it's obvious the prices are too good, but say you're not married to the market, you don't necessarily know what things are worth. Like, I don't know much about NAMM show display piece Telecasters. I mean, $7,000, I mean, that could be right. But I'm curious about this cash on delivery thing. Is that just to get you in? Because it looks like they have, you can buy with Google Pay. So then it just might be the standard run around the bush, send you a non-item type thing. Otherwise, it looks like they're just going to process your credit card manually. Keep your eye out for that. I could see how it could catch somebody that was off guard, that was looking for a rare model, which is what these people are specifically going after. And I also see that they're using this technique of mix matching the listing. Like this is supposed to be a ES350T. I mean, that thing looks like this. And then we've got this Phoenix bird weird guitar thing. Of course, that's gonna make somebody click, learn about their site, and then potentially get scammed. This is a common scam that's been run on eBay for a long time, but it's the first I've seen it pop up on Reverb. And I've seen a lot of comments saying, I would never trust Reverb again. That's not exactly what I'm getting at here, guys. It's me expressing my opinion that they need to police it a bit more. Most listings are good. Look if they have feedback. Look if everything that they're selling has photos of matching backgrounds or believable backgrounds. Like if one has a waterfall and then the other one are obvious stock photography, yeah, something might be wrong. Again, just ask them for additional photos that are specific, that has your name written on a piece of paper or something. So until the next update I have on that, I'll put that topic to rest. But on top of our new guitar models, I've got a couple of old ones I want to share with you. So here's one listed by Mighty Music, labeled as a Gibson VSG Standard 1979. So typically, those things look like this. I actually own and documented the prototype VSG, so be sure to check out that video if you haven't already. But then we've got this. It's purple, and it's got brick walls on it. But the longer you look at this photo, the more you realize what is wrong with it. Our controls are on the wrong side. It's Lefty, a Lefty conversion, but we can tell by looking at the body, SGs are not symmetrical. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. The bass side horn is always supposed to be above your treble. So this did not start as a left-handed one. Somebody has converted it, but you can see it's currently strung up as a lefty. So then things started to make a lot of sense. That's why we got the brick wall design over here, because they're hiding all the other holes that were there. It's ingenious. I love it. They did a fantastic job, and most people wouldn't notice the horn thing. And otherwise, SGs are fairly symmetrical as far as the playing department goes. So it's a great way to get a lefty model of something that, as far as I'm aware, didn't exist back then. Doesn't mean there's not a custom order, but generally speaking, you don't find many lefty VSGs. So on the back, obviously, they did the same thing again to hide the old existing route that they probably filled in, and then they routed it for a new one. Looks fairly professional. And then because sometimes refinishes never quite feel right, it almost looks like they just completely left the neck alone. That's not even a sanded finish, that's just the original satin. But yet they decided to give the headstock a makeover, as well as the face, which unfortunately you lost your Gibson logo in that process. I mean, if you're a lefty and you've always wanted a VSG but you'd never do it yourself, it could be an interesting project. Even if you don't like the finish, you could have it completely redone in black and then not have to worry about it. But they're asking $1,500 and they're open to offers. Following that up, I wanted to share this interesting one. So it claims it's one of the government Les Paul studios, which if you're not familiar, that was a really cool series that we've talked about in these episodes, where the government took wood from Gibson because they suspected it was illegally sourced, and eventually some of it came back to Gibson and they created these guitars with them. At least the fretboards were made of confiscated wood, and they did 2 different series. The series 1 is the most popular because you get the cool government green case. But this one caught my attention because it has a wood-burned bald eagle in it, which I would not suggest practicing your wood-burning skills on a highly collectible Les Paul like this, but hey, it was done. It's got a government theme to it. America, bald eagle, it kind of works. I'd first saved this one in my watch list because it was only $1,400. I thought that was fair, all things considered. But I've since watched this listing go to $5,000, now it's down to $3,500. I'm not sure what he would actually take today, but if you're interested, you can make him an offer. And I guess I never realized that some of them shipped without the pickguard installed. I thought all of those were drilled into it. Because when the listing was first live, I didn't think it was actually the government series, because somebody has at least changed out our pickups, because that initially came with dirty fingers, because, that was part of the haha tongue-in-cheek funny stuff that Gibson was doing. Next up, a very interesting ebony studio from 1993. I'm a big fan of the early 90s studios when they still have the ebony fretboard. They are just fantastic guitars. If I had $1,000 to $1,500 and I just needed one guitar for the rest of my life, I would definitely suggest one of those. They're just that good. But this one has some interesting designs. I'm not exactly sure what they are. I don't think it's factory original either, but it kind of gives it a unique vibe. But if you're looking for a 100% factory original, unique early 90s studio, I'd suggest the House of Guitars Anniversary Edition, which we documented in this episode. You don't see those things too often, but the J200 inlays are a nice treat. But if brand new is more your style, Dave's Guitars listed an interesting studio. These aren't supposed to have figure tops, but this one has, a little bit of stuff going on. It's got a plain top otherwise, with nice wood grain. But the thing about this shop is they have the perfect lighting setup that really accentuates this. So some guitars don't quite look as fantastic as they do in their photos, but even the mahogany back here has got some decent wood grain. As far as a new studio goes, if that's what you want, that's a cool example. And then lastly, during Loyal Viewers Hour, you made it to the end, you're gonna get a cool treat. Here's a custom ordered 2003 Les Paul Special. It's got a chevron flame top, kind of. That's at least the direction of this going, but it's kind of like a boat passing through the water. That's just beautiful. But it appears to have been upgraded with some sort of an intonatable wrap tailpiece. You've got 4 golden knobs on it. Cream P90s, no pickguard stock, but that is a maple top on a special. Specials don't normally have that. And then when I show you the full body shot, something's going on with that headstock. It's also a nice ambered over hue, and it's got flame figuring. Now, it could be a 2-piece veneer, that's why you also have a center seam, or it could just be the neck itself is flamed and they didn't put any type of a veneer on top of it. All I gotta say is that fretboard looks fantastic, nice and rosy. So now let's answer our question. Flip to the back. Yes, indeed, it has the maple neck. And at this photo angle, you could tell it's got some figuring, some sort of blemishes going on back here, not sure what that's about. But then another angle like this, it just comes to life. However, that is not a 2-piece flame maple neck. Gibson typically doesn't just do 2 pieces. They'll at least have like a center stripe of walnut, like on some acoustic models. So that does confirm for us that they used a 2-piece flame veneer for the headstock, instead of the usual Hollywood. And the reason for that likely comes down to the headstock wings. You would still see them and they would look strange. But hey, we've got the Pearloy tuner tips, just like the 83 Spotlight Specials and Antique Natural. But here's another nice look at it. You can actually see how thick the top is. It's not as thick as normal, but it kind of reminds me of like some of the SGs with the flame tops, such as this one that you can check out, because tonight's episode is over. All right, troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.